Well, hi, welcome to week 3 of our Intro to New Testament here for the Center for Ministry and Lay Training at Phillips Theological Seminary. Okay, week 3. We are going to delve into the Gospels as much as one can delve in a 1 week. We were able to somehow be able to do this in face to face, or at least where we had 2-hour classes twice a week where we could really work with one another and ask the questions and have the interplay. Unfortunately, we don't, but we're doing the best that we can. As far as I know, this is the best that we can. Cohorts are out the window as to how they look this week. You can see as you look at your syllabus where we have readings from the Bible, from Miller, and from Amer. You're also going to have 2 videos. One is by Robert Funk. He is a very noted theologian. I've mentioned the Jesus Seminar to you before. He was key, one of the key people with that and teachings. As I say, a very well-known man in biblical New Testament type of scholarship, particularly cutting edge scholarship. You may be familiar with Richard Rohr and some of the work he does with the New Testament. N.T. Wright is another name that does work with the New Testament. And Robert Funk has, in his own time, been one of those forefront kind of thinkers. This is an older video, but it's no less important and still holds sway for today. In fact, it might give you pause to think about what today looks like when you see what he's talking about. Okay, so Robert Funk up there, and then I've got I think, kind of fun video that is a quick overview of the Gospels, not a very long video, and it kind of may give us some ideas about how we share the Gospel with people who don't yet know the Gospel. That good news, and they're going to say more about that as well, as will our other resources this week. Let's see, that's going to be important. That's important about how we communicate the Bible, the Gospels, for people who are either not yet or no longer Christians. Now Q and the Signs Gospel that you'll see here for that's going to be in John. And let's go to Q for a minute. Well, I'll talk about both. Mark or Q, and when we talk about the signs, that kind of is okay. What is that? These are, and oh my gosh, talk about a little more discomfort that we can have, that you are having perhaps, that these are not yet extant writings. We don't actually have these writings, but they've been pieced together by what we see in other writings, to references to them. We have that same dynamic going on in the Signs Gospel and with Q. You might think of Q as questions, like our questions. Where does Q come from? But as you read in these readings, what you see is that Mark was drawing sources from someplace, as have other writers. And it's probably about 50 AD. So within 20 years that after Jesus has died and come back to life and ascended into heaven, within 20 years after that, people are trying to tell the events, and they need to remember them, and different people have seen them in different ways, and so they start writing down the stories, the accounts, how they experienced Jesus. I was just asked to provide a recommendation for someone who works in a middle school. I haven't seen her since last year, but I was able to write, and it's a recommendation for an award. So I want to make sure that they know what, my experience with her. And so in a way, I was writing down my accounts with her. And I don't know how many other recommendations there will be for this reward, but award. she'll be rewarded an award. Okay, so but she will. There will be these other stories, and those who are reviewing them will pick and choose those stories that meet more the criteria for that award, and they'll be doing the same for others, of course, right? So it's the same, if you will, parallel with these gospels, that here are these different experiences with Jesus, or from people who knew Jesus firsthand, and they are putting those to have, they're all over here, and then Mark draws from them, and Matthew and Mark, or sorry, Matthew and Luke are drawing from Mark. Same with John. There are all these sayings. Perhaps you've heard of the Gospel of Thomas. Well, the Gospel of Thomas isn't a gospel the way we think of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Some people think it is, but it's not. Rather, it's some sayings of him, just the way that we have Proverbs, right? And Proverbs are sayings that have been compiled. So you'll see that. I got to thinking about this too, and I don't have this right in front of me. I've got them in my other working room, or my room where I was working with them. In the back of Miller, and well, as you thumb through Miller, you're going to see these notes, right? And towards the back, you'll see this note from him, or in there from somebody, one of the writers, that talks about about these gospels, about what they may be trying to say and how we get them. Actually, let me try that. It's the source theories, how they come to be, and that I really want you to look at that. And other pieces that may be helpful. I was looking this morning at one talking about the Sermon on the Mount, right, and the Beatitudes from Luke's perspective. Very interesting perspective. So thumb through there. So I've got you in these groupings. Mark, and Mark is first because Mark is older than Matthew and Luke. Has to be, right? If Luke and Matthew are drawing on Mark for resources. Mark, Matthew, Luke, John. And you're within your respective cohort, right? Your gospel cohort, if you will, you'll have these different pieces. And that's what I want you to bring into the discussion. And that's why your question is around what do your course mates need to know about what you've read? What's going to help them in their understanding of this gospel? This is so important because remember, there are words that are not reading the gospel that you are, and they need to be able to see that and to have an idea of what's happening. I want to tell you that when it comes to academic learning and then preaching and sharing the gospel and preaching, teaching, and sharing the gospel with not yet no longer Christians, there's a key difference here. We're doing academic learning. You're learning about deeper pieces that could confuse, get people totally off track in their thinking if they're not yet or not yet or no longer or new Christian. Or you're trying to get a message across. And when we're preaching and teaching, what we really want to be doing is taking this information, this background, and making it relevant and practical to people. So if you think about a dinner party, right, you have the preparation that goes on in the kitchen, and you bring it out with the conversation and set it on the table. Now, if someone says, "Oh my gosh, this is so yummy. Tell me how you made it." What are you going to, you can say, "Well, I got this, I got that." No, no, no. It's easier to say, "I got the recipe from there, and it's got this, this, and this," right? It's the kitchen and it's the dining room table. What we have is this academic. We have the kitchen. We have the construction of this incredible meal, but we're only going to serve it pieces, parts at a time. Yeah, you don't have to go and spout all your wisdom, but we need to know it, and that's what I want you to communicate. The one part of it is What have you learned? The academic, the scholarly pieces, but then we have the more practical piece. Why is this important for a no longer Christian or not yet Christian? And don't stretch it. If it's not relevant, if it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter. Don't try to make it what it's not. That I really need you to hear. You're going to just kind of flip through Miller to see if would see what notes are in there, what little pieces. There really are these just little 1-page or half-page pieces I want you to look at. That's so do that, see what may be relevant for your gospel that you're reading. May not. Those of you who are in the Markan and the Johannine cohorts, you're going to have to look back into your study Bibles to see how those may look and help flesh out what you've got. Let's see. Q gospel, fun with it. Science gospel, you have a blast with it. And let's see what else. 2 videos for you to watch. Of course, bring in outside resources. The Acts pieces, I will have them posted pretty soon, and you can get started in that, as you're going to see there, because Miller only works with these gospels, right? But I've got him down here for the secret book of James and the infancy gospel of Thomas, and I've mentioned both of them. They're important in our discussion in Acts. They're important because they give us a sense of what's being thought. So the thought, the culture, some of these outcomes of the gospels, right? By the time we get to Acts, we're heading in the little baby church is birthing, and so we're seeing the birthing. We're seeing the first kind of theologians, the interpreters, right? Those who have thoughts about God that are going on, that are merging. And so when we see this James, actually the secret book of James and infancy Thomas, we get to see a bit of what the thinking going on is. Okay, so that's what we've got. As always, contact me if you've got any questions. I look forward to seeing you and being with you on the forums. And if you're able to be at our end of week session again, love to see you. I think we have good conversation in there. It's short in and out. Take care. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.